Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to Double Advantage, a D&D podcast where half of us have no idea what's going on at any given moment. It's complete and utter chaos, but guess what? We love it. I am your Dungeon Master, John, and along with me, like always, are my beautiful friends, so let's go ahead and get them introduced, starting with the one and only Mr. Blazing Torchic.
Hello everybody, my name is Blazing Torchic, aka Daniel, and I play Melon Sakador, the male wood elf rogue of the Soul Knife archetype. I love to create blades, I love to throw them, stab them, do cool tricks with them. I'm apparently a really good storyteller for some reason, and I just have loads of fun playing in this D&D campaign.
Hell yeah, go ahead and check out all his shenanigans in the last couple of episodes, and go ahead and start from the very beginning. The story is worth the while, so go ahead and check that out. All the links are in the description. Yeah, up next we got Mr. BryceKrispie.
What's up, guys? BryceKrispie here. I play Volstagg the Forgotten, the male half-orc druid. You can find me while shaping into stuff, controlling the elements with my druidic powers. And yeah, that's pretty much Volstagg. He's a nice guy. He's got a pet turtle named Sheller.
Which I feel like we haven't addressed. I feel like that's my fault. I feel like we don't really address that very much. But yeah, go ahead and check him out. All the links down below. He's currently doing November. Ayo.
It is November, yes.
Spending the entire month of November talking about the amazing D&D character known as Gnolls. So go check it out. Some mini paintings.
Yes, we are building a Gnoll army with mini painting videos.
Yeah, there's even a Monster of the Week. Nope, that's not what it is. That's a Monster
Monster
of the Week.
Corner.
Monster of the Week is a D&D, well, not a D&D. It's like a RPG game. Fun fact. We should try it one of these days.
We should.
But yeah, no, Monster Corner. I don't know why that slipped my mind. There is a Gnoll video. Unfortunately, it didn't go up during November, but we might have something special coming up for November.
We got something special planned for November.
So stay tuned. It's been a wild ride, and hopefully we can keep that going every year because that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, we have the artist of the show, one of the artists of the show, Renny motherfucking Texas.
Yo, what's going on, guys? You got Renny here, and I am playing the role of Chris Farley Amadeus, level 5 human warlock. He's fat, he likes to party, and he can fly. And I really want to fly this episode. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna fucking fly. I'm gonna find a way to do it. I don't care how it happens, I'm flying, because I still gotta fly.
Hell yeah. Go ahead and check out his links down below. Twitches every now and again, yearly Twitch streams.
Of course.
Might be trying out some Minecraft or something special.
Yeah.
Who knows what he'll be doing. Go check out his merch store. Got some excellent stuff. We all got some designs, pretty much just fucking rocking and kicking it. So go get yourself something nice. Treat yourself. And last but certainly not least, let's go ahead and get a couple announcements out of the way. Continued collaboration with the lovebracelet.org, helping to fight against domestic violence. Go ahead and purchase yourself a fantastic bracelet using coupon code ADVANTAGE for 30% off your purchase. And if you get yourself a bracelet, go ahead and send us a picture on Twitter. We'll retweet it and the like. And shout out to the artists of the show, Carl Uber, Renny Texas, of course, and Mitch Ninja. Without them, none of this would be possible. So yeah. I'm starting to get into the flow of that better a little bit. Anybody got any more announcements before we kick this off?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Alrighty.
Let's play.
Let's go ahead and get into the next episode of Double Advantage. In the last episode, our intrepid adventurers known as the Lightbreakers and their newly acquainted friend, Chris Farley Amadeus, a human adventurer from the adventuring guild known as Shadow Star, picked up a quest to head into the Silver Rock Mines, where somebody named Ruthern had eventually gone missing, and their exploits had found themselves in what appeared to be a boarded-up mine shaft that led into a cavern filled with webs and viscous blood and mucus and sinew within these silken sacks, and decided to light this place ablaze, and as they did, had to encounter these spiders that would phase in and out, these blue-white spiders, gigantic in size, that they ended up fighting, defeating, and warning anybody in the future to stay as far away as they fucking could from these mines, as they were not safe for humanoid presence. And with that, you now all wake up in the Shadow Star Adventuring Guild, in the barracks in the back. As each of you wake up from your slumber, you have all gained yourselves a long rest, and you have been paid for your services. So, as you wake up, what would the three of you like to do?
Well, does this place serve meals?
Yeah, it has like a bar and like a, like kind of a, not like a full kitchen, but, something that like a lowly tavern would have.
Okay. Yeah, probably go see what they have to eat for breakfast. Because it is morning, right?
Yeah, it's morning. It's probably about
okay.
8:30, 8:39. Not 8:39, 8:32:9. Sorry. Such an oddly specific time frame to wake up.
Yeah.
You wake up at precisely 8:39 with 34 seconds left in the minute. And so you go ahead, you wake up, you go ahead and you make yourself out. People are already kind of stirring awake, having a morning coffee, a morning tea, a morning beer. And you can see that there's kind of like almost like a buffet style situation going on here. This place you can see is not only an adventuring guild, but it almost kind of seems like homeless shelter is not necessarily the word, but it's just kind of like a place where you can come, and just enjoy a meal with people. It seems to get a lot of funding via just completing the adventures and stuff like that it can provide for the people who keep it afloat. So you go ahead and you could grab whatever you want. There's eggs, there's vegetables, there's meats, and you can see that Amadeus is already sitting at a table, stuffing his gourd with various amounts of meat, potatoes, and vegetables.
I'll go up, make myself a plate.
Alrighty, you go ahead and you start serving yourself up. Get a nice plate, a good portion, good serving size. And yeah, Amadeus is currently sitting at a table. He's got 2 seats next to him.
I'll walk over and take a seat by Amadeus.
All right, Sakura, what are you doing?
Just got out of my meditative stance and just kind of did morning stretches, getting ready for the day, and I'll just wander downstairs and grab some food and scout out where Volstagg and Amadeus are.
All right, go ahead and make a little perception check for me. See if you can spot these two.
12.
All right, they're not very hard to find. They're big folks. Amadeus is portly and Volstagg is just broad. And you eventually see them currently eating a meal together at the same table.
And I'll just walk on over and, well, good morning to you both. Hope you got a nice rest. Are we feeling good to set off either as soon as possible or maybe after a little bit of information gathering?
We might want to gather some information before we set off.
Can't talk, mouthful.
I see you're certainly enjoying your food. Amadeus? Well, looks like we'll do some information gathering, and yeah, that seems to be the plan.
Alrighty, so you guys go ahead, you consume yourselves a quite tasty meal. It's not the most delicious you've ever had, and it seems very quickly manufactured for large groups, but it does the job. And you feel full. Go ahead, you clean up your plates, and you go ahead, open the door to the fresh Snowcaster morning air. And you are now presented with the city out in front of you to do with what you wish.
So we have, I'm just looking through my notes here. Okay, so we have kind of an idea of where the Underdark might be located, right?
You don't know exactly, but
Right,
you've heard rumors and you've heard stories, and your experience with Kilmark, because you used to live there. You have an understanding on how you might go about finding it.
Okay. Would you guys like to head to the market to gather some supplies? We got
Yes,
that
but
nice payout. Might come in handy.
Very true. However, I am concerned about one thing. Didn't Willigin say that we needed a specific thing to like get into the Underdark? Like, because it's on a different plane, or did we need something to get into the Underdark?
Not that I recall. I thought the Underdark was just kind of underneath.
Both of you make a history check. I guess all three of you make a history check.
Oh, lovely, plus 0. Oh, lovely, 5.
All right, Sakado, you stick to the idea that you feel as if it is on a different plane and that there is something that might be required. Amadeus, you don't know much about the Underdark. All you know is that it can kiss your ass. And Volstagg, you remember that it's not on a different plane. It just is connected by a series of mile-long tunnels from the surface to the underworld. Not the underworld as in like hell, but basically the world underneath the world that you are all familiar with.
Okay. I'll kind of try and get it through their heads that like, yep, we just need to find the entrance and we can get into it. We don't have to summon anything or bring a special item. Think of it as like the basement to the world we see.
Okay, I catch your drift now. Well, that removes one obstacle, I guess. So yeah, I'm down to go to the market.
Me too, man.
Alrighty. You guys go ahead and you start making your way through this part of the city, the Allurium District, for those who are in the average class. You go ahead and you start making your way. You go ahead and you pass through Thybrook Marble Might's multi-menagerie. You can see that the forge is currently ablaze, but nobody is outside. Presume he's probably still asleep. And you go ahead and you start making your way in through. There's a general store. There's, there's the forge. There's a leather worker. There's a plethora of different things that you can do here. There's a library. Whatever you're looking for.
Would the general store have healing potions?
Honestly, probably not. What you would be looking for is an apothecary.
Okay.
Or
is there an apothecary around?
Go ahead and make an investigation check.
Right.
See if you can ask around and converse, or maybe just straight up look through the alleyways in the streets to see if you could find an apothecary.
What?
All right, an 11. You ask around. Not a lot of nice people here. Kind of stuck up, snooty. And the general consensus that you get is snarky, and it's more like a no, there isn't an apothecary here, but almost kind of like a like everybody knows that, like
right.
Kind of treating you lesser than. But you do uncover that there is not one.
Okay. Well, you did say there was a leather working area.
Yes, there is a leather worker.
I will head there then.
All right, you go ahead and you can see that there is this elven woman. Currently has her long blonde hair kind of tied up in this kind of very makeshift messy bun, and is currently working on a piece of leather that she has been tanning. It looks like she's in the process of kind of cutting it into strips, whether it be for wrapping around the handle of a weapon or maybe for different pieces of armor. And as you walk through, she kind of looks up. She has these kind of almost like she's a high elf with this kind of almost golden skin, but it looks kind of dark. It's tanned, like a lot of sunlight exposure. And she looks up at you and she says, yes, what can I do for you?
Hi, yes. Hello, ma'am. My name is Volstagg. I'm looking to see if you have some leather armor, maybe hide, just something a little thicker than what I'm currently wearing.
Yes, I believe that can be arranged. My name is Guinevere. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I think that could I think that could work. Are you just looking for a standard hide, or are you looking for maybe studded leather? What do you prefer? I could see you have a lot of furs and what's the word? Already kind of some hide-like pieces, so hide might match your attire more if you want to stick
Yeah.
to theme.
Probably just hide. I'm not the biggest fan of metal on my body. It interferes with some things.
Understandable. It's clunky. Yes. Yes, I can go ahead and get that for you. You're a rather tall gentleman. I can see what I can muster, to fit your size. It should not be an issue, though. All right, let me go ahead and see what I can provide. She goes ahead and she heads off into... It's kind of situated the same that Marble Mites is, where it's kind of like a home with like a porch where she's doing all of her work, but instead of like a forge coming out, it's just a lot of leather, a lot of tanning materials, a lot of furs kind of out and about. But she does come back with some hide armor that does seem to be good for your stature. She says, this, I believe, should be good enough, and this will cost about 10 gold.
All right. I'll go ahead and give her 10 gold plus 2 gold tip.
She says, well, thank you kindly. That is very nice of you.
Don't mention it. It was very quick of you, and I'm just happy that I have a little bit more protection out there.
Of course. Oh, yes, this might be important. And she goes ahead and she comes up really quickly with this kind of like a stitcher's needle, and stitches onto the armor for you real quick right there. Not while it's on you, obviously, but kind of on the table there. Stitches a quick little pocket, and she says, I noticed you have a little friend. I thought maybe it would be nice to accommodate.
Thank you very much.
So, built in, and let's say no extra cost. The tip will cover it.
Well, thank you.
Of course. If you have any other issues with it, please let me know. If you need it in a different color, I can provide, and it's relatively the same as your current. A lot more grays rather than what you've been sporting in the browns. But it doesn't feel any different. It feels good, depending on if you would want it to be a different color.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. So she gives it to you. You go ahead, you pay her. She says, is there anything else I can do for you? Any of your compatriots need anything? And she motions over to you two.
I think I'm good.
All right, sounds good.
Is there anything you think you could do with my armor? I'm not sure if there's much you can do in terms of bulking it up per se, but
Well, it's just a simple standard leather, yes.
Yes,
I mean,
believe so.
it's quite beautifully designed. But in terms of just simple leathers is what I mean. I don't mean to insult your fashion sense by any means.
Oh, don't worry.
I think a little can be done. Yes. Let me go ahead and see what I can do. And would you prefer for me to modify your current armor, or would you rather a new piece like your friend?
I would be more inclined for a modification.
Okay, I believe that could be arranged. Let me see if I have the necessary requirements to go through with this before I commit to anything.
Okay.
And she goes ahead and she once again heads back into her abode to kind of muster up some things. She comes back and she says, I think I can make do. Some elements might have to be changed and altered, but I believe I can do this.
Well, have at you.
All right. Well, if you wouldn't mind, I would require your attire.
Oh, yes, of course, of course.
She goes ahead and says, this is going to take a little bit longer, roughly an hour or so. It'll be 45 gold pieces upon completion, obviously. I don't want to do anything. But yes, 45 gold pieces. It will take about an hour, a little more, a little less, depending on time frame. So come back within that time frame and everything should be fine. Anything else I can do for you?
No, I believe that is everything for me.
All right. Well, I will be seeing you then, and I'll be working on this as soon as I can. And she goes ahead and she starts taking it back, begins to kind of work on it, start wrapping some elements. You can see that she kind of starts taking some pieces of it off, and kind of like some she's like setting aside for later use, and other pieces she's kind of using almost to repurpose them, to kind of add it on. You can see, like, as you guys are kind of walking away, you can see that she's bringing out these kind of like almost the best way to describe it would be like more belts and straps, to kind of keep them pieced together, and little you already kind of had some metal elements to your armor, but there's these little pieces, kind of, you can't tell if they're decorative or to kind of keep them in place, but a lot more straps are being utilized than previous. But she's going to go ahead and provide that for you. So what do you wish to do, as you have an hour of time to wait before this is complete?
Sakado would like to go check out the library.
The library, okay. You go ahead and you head up into the library. It is this this 2-story quaint building with a fireplace. It is quite modest. I mean, you are in the quote unquote poorest district, and even then, it's relatively nice. Like I said before, like even the quote unquote slums of this town are still kind of in the higher end in terms of like a normal city. So it's nicely kept. You can see that there's some smoke puffing from the fireplace chimney, and you can see that it says the grotto. And you can see that it's got like these little vines kind of dangling down from these potted plants that are being hung up, kind of by the like hooks on the wood, and it's very nice.
Oh, I'll just enter the building and take a quick look around, see what I can see.
Alrighty, you can see that there is this, while not as vast as the Arcanist's library, there are a couple of different bookshelves here. You can roughly estimate about a couple hundred books in here. You know, who knows on which the topics. You can see that there are a couple of patrons in here currently. You look to see just reading, perusing. Some look like they're doing notes or jotting down some things, studying. And you can see that there is a gentleman kind of on this ladder that is currently putting up a couple books and says, how can I help you?
Oh, yes, hello. I was just wondering if you had any books on, what were they called again? The Ordinances of Divinity?
Ooh, the ordinances. Your best bet would be to look in the sections of either history or ancient artifacts. I don't know how many books we have on file, but the knowledge of the ordinances is minimal, to say the very least.
Okay, and while we're at it, is there anything on the Keelmark Heights?
I'm sure there is. You could look for books about the geography, or maybe topography, or just natural landmarks of Eros. Maybe you could find something.
Okay, thank you for your help.
Of course.
And I'll walk off to the Ancient Artifacts section.
All right, you go ahead and you peruse the Ancient Artifacts section. Go ahead and make an investigation check to see what you can find.
Investigation 3.
You don't see much in terms of the ordinances. You find a lot of stuff about just ancient artifacts in general. You know, mostly legends and myths, but no solid concrete evidence, especially anything correlating to the ordinances.
I'll have a quick gander at the history section.
All right, go ahead.
Not being too hopeful.
Make another investigation check.
Oh lordy, a 2.
Much of the same. If so, less so, because with the ancient artifacts, at least you were hitting a little bit closer to what the ordinances actually are. With this, it's just kind of been just a very general history of a lot of different things. Different armies, different wars that have occurred over time, the rise of different nations and the kingdoms and the the dominions and stuff like that. But nothing correlated to the ordinances.
Well, I wasn't expecting much, but I was hoping for at least something. Oh well, and I shall wander over to look for a book about the Kiomark Heights.
Alrighty. That, very easy. There are a lot of books about the geography of the land, and you kind of, within the subsection, you see a subsection dedicated to mountains, and you can see books on the Kiomark Heights. You see books on the Four Peaks mountain range, which is the mountain range that paints the sky behind the city of Unalost, or the town of Unalost, where the three of you originally met, you, Volstagg, and Skald. There are plenty of other ones. The Ethereal Pinnacle, of course, is one of them, but you do end up finding a book about the Kiomark Heights.
Okay, I'll just peel that one out of the bookshelf and just have a quick flick through it, looking for anything about the inside or like any tunnels, anything that could potentially be a link towards an entrance to the deep or Underdark.
Okay, you go ahead and you start scrolling through, and eventually you reach a page. You kind of go to the index, or what is it? Is it the index? Whatever it is that tells you kind of on a chapter by chapter basis, and it leads you to index. Yeah, there you go. I don't know what I said, but index I think is.
You said index.
Okay,
You're right.
There you go. Yeah, the index, and you go ahead and you see. It gives you a list of page numbers, and specifically this section is called Rumors and Myths, and it goes into extensive detail. You don't read all of it, but it goes into an extensive detail of the myths, legends, and rumors behind cavernous entrances to the Underdark within the Four Peaks, or not the Four Peaks, the Kiomark Heights. It says that it is those who have rumored to have entered have never returned. Therefore, nothing is concrete, but the fact that people have went in search of this cavern and then never came back to tell the tale leads to confusion as to whether or not these entrances do exist and how many there are. It's rumored that there are many. It's rumored that there's one, not evidence concrete enough to deduce, a specific section of the mountains, but enough to deduce that there's definitely something going on here.
Okay, I'll go over and find, still holding the book, find the person whom I saw on the ladder.
Yes, it was an older gentleman with some spectacles, kind of this like swooping black hair that kind of has a really big bald spot on the back. You can see it's kind of turning gray a little bit, and he's still kind of stacking books on this ladder. And he says, "Yes, do you need any assistance?"
Yes. How long would I be able to rent out a book?
You can rent a book out for 2 weeks for a gold piece, or 4 weeks for 2.
I'll go with 2 weeks.
Okay, that could be done. Here, let me go ahead, and he hops down off the ladder, goes to this desk, and he kind of, may I please see the book?
Yes, here you go.
Alrighty, and he goes ahead and he writes down a couple of numbers that are written at the base of it, and he says, and who might I be checking this out to?
You will be checking this out to Seinkel.
Seinkel. Alright. Well, here you are, Seinkel. And the 1 gold piece, please.
Yes, here you go.
Alright, and it is 2 gold for each week that it is late, so make sure to return it on time if you do not want to pay.
Yes, I will try my best, but it's all dependent, really.
Well, it is your money.
That is very true, although I think you would be somewhat happy to get a bit extra money if a day or too late.
That is true, but as a person who loves his books, I would much rather have the book back on time.
Oh, do not worry, I can assure you that the book will be safe at the very least.
Well, I will be awaiting your return.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Is
He goes back to stocking up the bookshelves. Meanwhile, Volstagg and Amadeus, what are you two doing while this is going on?
So I would have not went to the library.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would like
Me
to
neither.
go find maybe some local hunters or farmers who just try and find people who would travel up to the Keelmark Heights for business, way of life type things, and question a few people, try and see if anybody had any information on rumors of where this entrance may be, or perhaps strange creature sightings, and where those creatures were at.
Okay. Alrighty, go ahead and just make either an investigation check to ask people, or I would even say maybe a persuasion check to convince people to talk to you. I'll let you pick. And Amadeus, are you going with him?
Actually, I wanted to observe the area a little bit.
Okay.
Just look around. More specifically, look up. See if there's anything in the form of, like, let's say, some structures that are high up, maybe some trees or something like that. Anything that could serve as an obstacle while I practice my flying skills.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That'll work. Go ahead and yeah, there's plenty of buildings around. You can go ahead and
Excellent.
you can go ahead and try to fly up and scale these buildings.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe there's some crazy stuff on the roof, man.
Alrighty, so you go ahead, you cast the spell, and you begin to slowly float off your feet, and you begin to make your way flying through the city, off into the distance to whatever your desires are for the time
See you,
being.
boys.
And Volstagg, so with a 19, you are able to converse with a couple of people. You end up finding this older gentleman, kind of this long pointy beard, a human gentleman, who says, I've been up Keelmark Heights a couple of times. Used to be a miner up there a couple years back. Heard a couple things in my day. Yeah, not a lot of good stories, tell you that. There's been a couple sightings, a couple odd folk coming in and out of some of the cave entrances. It's always been rumored that maybe they lead deeper. I've never been a fan of that. I think people just, end up down on their luck and need a place to stay out of the rain for the night and end up living out of them caves. But every now and then you get the rumor, the missing folk who claims to have been wanting to search for the Underdark but never returned. Probably just some dumb fuck who fell and broke his leg and was never found again.
These caves you talk about, were they close to the mine you worked?
Not necessarily. I mean, they're kind of up a little higher. They seem to be, at least from what I've heard, hard to get to, which is also a deterrent for people wanting to get there in the first place. But yeah, they're a little bit higher up. They're not that close to the ground. At least the spottings of these people and the missing persons and whatnot.
Now, what was the mine called you used to work at, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, of course. That's the Pearl Blossom Mine. Yeah. We used to mine these nice little Pearl Blossom gems. And you would be familiar with these gems.
Okay.
They're these like crystalline gems that kind of grow like flowers. And they blossom outwards and kind of form in these, and they don't grow like in the sense of like growing. They just, they develop outwards, kind of forming almost like a cherry blossom type of thing. And they're these like pink, white, just very opalescent gems that used to be mined until the mine was shut down 15 years back.
You said people have gone missing, and that any sightings of strange monsters or creatures, just things that you wouldn't normally see in the mountains.
Well, to be fair, from what I've read about the Underdark, is that most of them creatures stay there because if they come out in the sunlight, they'll burn up, kind of like a vampire, you know. So
Understood, yes.
from what I've seen, it's mostly been humanoid folk. That's why I presume maybe some homeless, you know, dwarves, gnomes, elves, and the like. You know, dirty, rough and tumble. Most of the spottings have been at night. You don't see a lot of folk reporting anything in the daytime, which tracks for these kinds of creatures who are very sensitive to the sunlight. But in my experience, no. And even when I was working up at Pearl Blossom, and I never saw anything in the mines, I never heard anything. You know, the mines never led anywhere. It was just kind of a one way in, one way out. And most of the occurrences happened towards the top.
Would you happen to have a map or able to provide directions to these mines?
To the mines, yeah, I can get you something to provide for the mines. I'm gonna be completely honest. If you're looking for these tunnels, I don't necessarily think the mines would be of any help to you, but it might give a start where to look.
That's what I'm hoping for, a start.
Right. Well, yeah, I could certainly do that for you. Here, let me draw something up for you. He goes ahead and he starts drawing up this kind of detailed, less of a map and more of instructions. And he hands it to you and says, I'm not much of an artist, my apologies, but these should be kind of like a step-by-step to how to get there. There's a certain path you got to take. It might be a little more dangerous now, considering they don't keep it up anymore. It's been shut down for a while, so they never really kept up the path and might have a couple boulders and rocks lying about, so be careful traversing if you are going to end up heading up there.
Thank you kindly. And then I hand him a gold coin for his trouble.
No, you don't have to do all that. I was just...
Please, it's
I
all I have.
enjoy telling a story, but if I must, I'll take it from you.
Your story may lead to bigger and better things, so if this is all I can do, please just take the coin.
Well, I appreciate that. He takes it from you and he shakes your hand. Well, pleasure to meet you, young one. My name's Kim.
And I'm Volstagg, and thank you for all your information. It's been very helpful.
Of course. I hope you find what you're looking for.
A part of me doesn't want to find what I'm looking for, but...
Well, good luck to you. And he goes
then
back. He goes back to whittling a piece of wood.
Okay. I'll probably head back to the leather worker station now and wait for the others.
Alrighty. Amadeus, what are you doing?
I'm just vibing, man. I like to think I'm about like 30 feet up. Right? Hands behind my back of my head, legs crossed, just chilling.
People watching?
Yep, of course, man.
Yeah, and as you're walking through Volstagg, you end up kind of finding this bench across from the leatherworker, and you're kind of just laying back, and with your passive perception, you look up out of the corner of your eye, and you see floating just in the pavilion, like right above a fountain, like 30, 40 feet above the fountain, is Amadeus, kind of laying as if he was in a hammock, hands behind his back, currently eating a fucking pastry.
Of course. Well, if we're above a fountain, hold on, I gotta make a wish, man. Let me grab a gold coin real quick and aim for that fountain 40 feet below.
All right, you go ahead and you put it in your hand, just take your thumb and flick it underneath, send it flying, and it splashes into the water.
Beautiful.
And Volstagg, you watch as the coin just plops into the fountain.
I look back up at him.
I wave hello.
I flip him off.
All right, and it's about at this time, Sakato, you're like walking down the pavilion with the book, like you're currently reading it, and you kind of like bump into like the fountain, and you look up and you could see just the ass of Amadeus 30 feet up.
Not a cloud in the sky except for that one.
And Volstagg, you see Sakato walk up and kind of eyes currently in a book, bumps into the fountain, almost falls in. Actually, make a dexterity saving throw. To see if you fall in. 11, that's fine. You keep yourself up. You watch as he almost falls into the fountain.
Kind of grab him and pull him back. Watch yourself there. I don't want to get that new book of yours wet.
Yes, it would be a true problem if the book got wet. However, I am more curious about how our friend is currently not on the floor. If anyone here was to not be on the floor, it would not be him I would pin for that.
Didn't question it.
I'm just so confused.
More interested in, I didn't take you for the reader.
Oh, well, we were looking to gather for some information about, Keelmark and possible entrances to the Underdark. I did try and look for something for the, ordinances, but unfortunately there was nothing, it seems. Their information on them is as rare as people say. However, I did find a book on the, Keelmark, specifically talking about the, rumors and such. It says, those who rumored to enter never returned, and despite the fact that it's not been properly confirmed, the fact that people have not returned is interesting enough to return and help the rumor. So it's a bit of a lead. Oh. You met a man?
I did, and he provided me with this, and I hand the instructions to Sakudo. They're instructions of how to get to an abandoned mine shaft. He used to work it back in the day, and he always heard rumors of people disappearing in the caves up above these mines. So I figured these instructions ought to get us to the mine at least, and from there we can maybe find the caves ourselves.
Yes, that does seem very helpful. This is great. This honestly went better than expected. Although, it's whether or not these rumors are true.
Right. But I'd say it's worth a shot.
Yes, it's definitely worth a shot. Amadeus, would you mind getting down from up there, however earth you got up there?
Yeah, I'll be there in a minute. I'm gonna assume I'm competent enough to go down safely, right?
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Alright, bet. I don't want to become a meteor.
Nah, you gingerly come down.
Alright.
I definitely did not peg you as the type to be in the air.
Where I'm most at home, my friend.
Oddly enough. Well, we have some information on general areas and such we can investigate for our thing. Yes, very good. Now the question is, when do we set off? Although we do have the... How much time has passed since the, leatherworker thing?
I would say with going into the library and perusing through books and doing some reading and you talking with that gentleman, I would say it's you're coming up on the hour.
Well, in terms of setting off, that can be discussed in a moment. It's been around about an hour, would you say? Should we head back to the leatherworker?
Of course.
Sounds good to me, boys.
We're like
Okay.
right by it, right?
Yeah, you guys are like 2 blocks down.
Oh, I was so absorbed in my book I didn't notice.
Alrighty, so you make a quick little ginger jog over there, and you can see that the leather worker is currently finishing up what looks to be something not related to your armor. It's a completely different thing. She turns around and she says, "Ah, there you are. Yes, your armor has been completed. So 45 gold will be the payment, and we will be all squared away."
Yes, here you go, and I hand the 45 gold over.
"Thank you very much." She kind of cups it in her hand and places it down on a side desk, and she says, "Let me know if it's to your standards." And it's I wouldn't say relatively the same. A lot of it was repurposed and refurbished to make something a little bit more protective. There's a lot more. It's akin to studded leather armor. It has a lot. It's a lot more studded. It's a lot more protective, and it seems to be a lot more effective. A lot more straps than before. Cape still intact. The hood seems to be missing though.
Quick question. What exactly happened with the hood?
I hope you don't mind. I had to borrow some of it and use it to create the straps and the studs. I hope that's not a problem.
No, it's fine. I can work around it. Don't worry, it's nothing too major.
Right. My apologies. If I would have known, I would not have touched it.
Oh, don't worry. It's fine.
Well, if there's anything else you may need, please let me know. If not, have a great rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Thank you for the new armor.
Of course. She goes ahead. She continues to work on something else as you three collectively gather back together. So, what would you like to do?
Right, what do you think would be a good time to set off? Around about what time of the day is it?
You guys set off pretty early. I would say it's probably around maybe 1 o'clock.
Yeah, half a day travel. We could get around about half a day's travel in, estimate. Should we set off right now or tomorrow?
Yeah, we can head out tonight or now, and then just rest tonight when it gets dark.
Let's do it.
All right then, let's head off.
Alrighty, so go ahead. You gather up your cart. Dodger and Cheese squared away on this and saddled up, ready to go. And you begin to make your way out of the city of Snowcaster. You can see a couple of thorn guards opening the gate for you, giving you a nod. Kind of spears strapped to their back, swords on their hips. You can see as you walk by, a couple of them just keep not aggravated, just keep a gentle hand on their weapons to ensure that everything goes smoothly. And as you pass by, they kind of ease their grip. And you begin to slowly make your way out and begin traveling towards the Keelmark Heights. So you've got a couple days travel on your hands here. You're looking at we're probably in the ballpark of 4 days. At least if we're going straight to Volstag's home. But I'll leave that up to you.
Are we going to my home or are we going to the mine first?
I would say that we should probably stop by your house first.
Okay.
All right. So, for just the sake of things, let's go ahead and do, just to see how your travels go, we'll have each of you roll a d6 to determine how the travel goes. So, you guys can take turns, or one person can do them all. It's up to you guys.
We can each do a day.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
All right.
So whoever wants to start, go ahead and roll a d6.
I can start.
No. Yep.
I got a 2.
A 2. Okay. The weather's fair. It's kind of rough travel. You're kind of entering back into the bumpy, more hilly terrain. You do know that once you get to Killmark, it does start flattening out and turn into more of a foresty area towards the base of the mountain. But right now, you're kind of enduring the worst of it. But everything goes off without a hitch, at least for the first day. So if somebody wants to go ahead and roll a d6 for the second day.
I'll jump on in. A 6.
You end up making very good pace. You end up eventually finally reaching the point where it stops becoming hilly and becomes more of a grassland. You can see that there is a forest on the horizon as you start getting closer and closer to the mountain. The Killmark Heights are not as wide as the Forfeit Peaks. You guys remember the Forfeit Peaks as very wide mountains covering a very large majority of the map, but the Killmark Heights are much taller, and you can see them from a very far distance away, and as you begin to get closer and closer, they begin to tower over you guys. And you do make good travel. So whoever wants to roll the d6 for the next day, go ahead. We'll see what we got to do.
See, I would, but I don't know how.
There should be in the corner of your sheet a little dice icon that you can click, and it'll let you pick the different dice shapes.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, cool.
Bryce, did you mark down that you've got hide now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought it,
didn't.
or I put it in my inventory and equipped it.
I didn't refresh my page.
Okay, 3.
There we go.
Yep, got a whole 1 AC.
Hey, man,
Nice.
That's a free AC point for just buying
That's a free AC.
You know, you didn't have to get a magical item or anything. Underestimated.
I'm pretty happy about it.
But yeah, so with a 3, you end up making fair bit of travel time, and eventually do begin to make your way into the more foresty region. Volstagg, you are very familiar with this. You know these to be the Killmark forests, or the Killmark wildlands, to some. And this is now becoming what you're used to. This is what you're familiar with. This is what you know. And eventually, on that third day, the sun does begin to set. And you find yourself, underneath the canopies, if you want to look for a place to rest for the night.
All right, yeah.
Alright, go ahead and make a survival check.
Shit. Ooh, shit.
A 9.
Uh-oh.
It's kind of difficult to traverse the cart through here. You end up finding a spot where there's a lot of flat land, but the visibility is very low. There's a lot of trees in this area, so it's kind of hard to tell. You feel like you're kind of inside the walls of a building almost with how many trees are here, but it makes it hard to see past a couple of feet. But it's flat.
Well, this seems about the best we're gonna get. Not too fond of the visibility, but it is at least flat.
Well, we'll take what we can get.
Mhm.
Alrighty, so you guys go ahead and you start setting up. You guys start opening up some rations, consuming some food. You light a fire. And Volstagg, as you sit down, just touching the grass and the bark of the trees, smelling that familiar air, immediately boatloads of memories begin flooding through. And you kind of sit there holding your rations in your hand and begin to reminisce on old times, old memories, fond memories, until eventually you kind of click back and remember that you're not living within those memories, you're living within right now. And Amadeus, you can see that as you're kind of hoovering down your meal, you can see that Volstagg over kind of out of the corner of your eye is kind of just in this current blank state, kind of no emotion, almost kind of looking past whatever is right in front of him as if he's not currently seeing through his own eyes.
Yeah.
and then eventually kind of shakes himself back.
Huh. Well, I think I'll approach Volstagg and start some conversation.
All
Very
right.
intrigued. So, this is the place he used to call home, huh?
Yes, grew up not far from here. I was raised by a dwarf. Never knew my mother or father. Hogan, my surrogate father, you could say, found me right as my mother had given birth, but she passed away during birth. And so Hogan brought me in and raised me as his own, which got quite the looks when we'd walk through town.
I can imagine.
A dwarf and a half-orc. I think I was twice his size by age 10. But he raised me out here and taught me the ways of the land, and that he's actually the reason I can harness my abilities, I believe. He himself wasn't a druid, but he had been on many travels and was able to use his knowledge that he had learned to help me gain control of my druidic abilities. And as I say that, I kind of grow a leaf in the palm of my hand using druid craft.
Damn. I'm impressed, but I try to hide it a little bit.
Volstagg, you can, with your passive perception, you can see a little bit of some, like a smile.
I just kind of give one of those like smirks back, like, I know you like it.
Man. You know, I don't like to talk about my past too much, but I relate. I also didn't know my parents, and I didn't really have much of anything of family except for other kids. I grew up in Northdale, living on the streets with a bunch of other kids. We made our living robbing, looting, surviving. It's just who we were. It's what we did, what we needed to do to live. And for the longest time, all we had was each other until we met this noble. He was a man of great power, great nobility. And I'm sure, as you know, most nobles really only look out for their own. But not this guy. He took us in, kept us kids away from what was basically certain death. He didn't prioritize the few that were powerful amongst him, but he looked out for us, the many that were weak. Something I've never seen a noble do, something I've never seen one do since. And it was great. He was great. For a little bit. But, you know, as things go, I still don't know what happened. I don't know if it was accidental or malicious. All I know is he's now dead, and it is what it is. And after he passed, the kids that I grew up with, my brothers essentially, we just couldn't hold out as well as we could. I don't know if I'm the last one left, but I very well could be. But like I said, it is what it is.
It's always sad when a father figure passes,
Indeed.
especially those who have raised you and cared for you.
Akuto's just sitting there very uncomfortably right now. Just like fidgeting around a little bit.
Hogan passed only, well, over a year ago now, I think. I can't remember on the map, or on the calendar. I don't have it pulled up.
It's been over a year, I believe. I think it's.
I was gonna say.
I think we're nearing on 2.
Okay.
Actually, no. I think it's actually been 2.
Okay, it's been 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been tough, but that's part of the reason I left, was to not to get away from the memories of him, but to just start again, to make my own life.
I can respect that. I personally, I don't know if I can start again, knowing how important my father figure was to not just me, but to kids like me today, that are still struggling, because we need more nobles like him. And I know by any means necessary, I want to bring him back. I thought a lot about whether or not I wanted to disclose this to you guys, but I like you guys and I trust you guys. So I'll let you know that I sold a part of my soul to a higher power. This power is greater than anything I've ever seen. And I spend nights constantly thinking whether or not I should have done this, because I don't know anything about this power. But I do know if I can bring back the closest thing me and others like me had to a father, I'm doing the right thing. It's tough. Sometimes I cope through drinking and partying, you know. But it is what it is.
And at this point, Sakato just spins around. It's just like, so you're telling me you believe this higher power can bring back the dead?
What I believe, don't have much options. But in my heart, I think I'm doing the right thing.
Well, I for one hope that it can bring back the dead. That would be quite amazing if it could. There's certainly someone I would like to have another chance to talk to again.
I understand. I think we all understand.
Yes. Resurrection is a tricky thing. Because how do you know what you're bringing back is truly them?
I don't. But I look at a world without him, and I know I don't have much choice.
That is fair. And you said he was taken young, right? He the means of his passing were a bit suspicious.
Yes.
Okay.
I wish I knew more.
I can see why you'd want to bring him back. Hogan lived a very long life, 250 some odd years.
Wow.
I think he was ready when he passed. He was preparing me for it, and I don't think I knew. But I think he knew his time was coming to an end.
Well, yes, when my father passed, he was around, how old was he again? Around about 212? And just like Amadeus, the circumstances around which passing, even I don't know all the details. But I would like to at least have said goodbye.
His death has nothing to do with why you're on the run?
Quite the opposite.
I see. I think I understand.
And as you guys sit in this state of almost sorrow yet unified understanding, and a collective sense of bonding, knowing that all of you, to your own extent, have some form of daddy issues, you, Volstagg, you hear this sound of a twig snapping.
Glance my head in the direction of it.
You can sense that there is something beyond the veil.
Okay. I can't see it, though.
No, with this very obscured tree coverage, it's
Okay.
hard to tell.
I stand up and look at them and be ready.
You go
Oh,
ahead.
boy.
And you guys get back to back, and you guys.
I go ahead and pull out my quarterstaff.
All right. You hear another twig snap coming from the same direction, and as you guys kind of back to back, you can see that there is this injured wolf that has made its way, smelling your food, smelling the smoke from your fire. You can see that it kind of has a gash in the side of its neck, kind of walking with a limp almost, as it kind of is looking at the three of you.
I put my quarterstaff back on my back and approach the wolf with rations in hand.
Make an animal handling check.
21.
Almost immediately, it begins to rear back. It growls. You can see that there's, kind of almost this red blood-like spit kind of coming off of the mouth, kind of drooling down. You could see that as you get closer, it almost looks like, rather than aggression, looks like it's entering a defensive stance. And as you get closer and present it with some food, it kind of sniffs into your hand and begins to eat out of it.
It's eating out of my hand, and I'll go ahead and cast Healing Word.
Okay. What do you say?
Rest now.
And you guys watch as... Go ahead and roll for health. You watch as, from the ground, these vines begin to twirl up the legs, and as they twirl up, they begin to cover up some of the wounds, and they begin to heal over.
8.
And then they begin to just slowly crumble away into dust. And you can see that this creature, while its actual wounds are healed, you can see parts of the rib cage. You can see that this is a very malnourished, deficient wolf, but all the wounds have been healed.
Darkador, having recently visited the Arcanist and feeling quite experimental with his powers, would like to attempt psionic whispers with the wolf.
Huh.
Because reading the description, it says the chosen creature that you can see, you can speak telepathically with them, and you don't need to speak a common language. So, my interpretation is that I can speak with anything as long as it's living and I can see it.
Huh. Interesting.
It doesn't have to have any sort of, intelligence?
Let me just quickly scan through this.
Yeah, go ahead and read the whole thing, because now I'm curious.
Yeah, this is kind of hype, low-key.
Yeah, this is kind of sick.
I mean, if it fails, Sakador's just trying to experiment a little bit. You can establish your telepathic as an action. Choose one or more creatures you can see, up to a number equal to your proficiency.
Oh.
A
creature can't use this telepathy if it can't speak any language.
Ah, fuck.
Damn.
That would have been so cool.
Honestly, though, okay, read that stipulation again for me.
To send, receive a message, you and the other creature must be within a mile. A creature can't use this telepathy if it can't speak any languages.
Okay, the way that's worded makes it seem like it can't use the telepathy, which means that it can't speak back. But
right, that's kind of what I was thinking.
But it leads me to believe that you can speak to it. You know what? Okay. What do you say to the wolf?
Okay, let me roll the dice. 3 hours. Okay. I'll just look at the wolf, and not really expecting a response. I'll just go, do you know where that gash on your neck came from?
And you watch as it begins to eat out of Volstag's hand, and as you speak to it, it whips its head up at you.
Oh my god, it worked.
I just turned my head back to Sakudo and raised my eyebrow the fuck?
Yeah. I like to think during this whole conversation after emotionally bonding, it was a little too taxing for Chris, so he instinctively reached for a flask of whiskey. He's watching this going down. He's seeing Sakura talking to the wolf, and he inspects his whiskey like, what the hell is in this?
I just turn to Volstagg and I'm like, I can speak to that thing. I can speak to the wolf. Was not expecting that to work. Okay, Willigin will love to hear this. And I'll just turn back to the wolf. Are you able to respond to any of these messages? I know you can hear them, but can you speak back?
No response, but an acknowledgement that because this is not verbal, this is all mental, right? Yeah, so you are not saying anything out loud, you're just thinking, but you're getting reactions from this wolf as if you're like, you know how like when you call the dog's name it kind of perks its ears up?
Yeah,
it's like that, but you're not saying any words, but it's reacting as if you were speaking to it. So you understand that this wolf is understanding you, but you don't gain any response.
Okay, well, it seems I can talk to it, and it can hear me, but it cannot talk back. Okay, that's good information to know. Right, how to communicate and get answers from this thing. Okay. If you were attacked, raise your left paw.
Left paw goes up.
Okay. If there was more than one of them, raise your left paw.
Left paw goes up.
Are they nearby? And if so, raise your left paw.
You get that cute dog head tilt. Leads you to believe undetermined.
Undetermined. Was this recent? If so, raise your left paw.
No left paw.
Okay. So we can at least assume that there is something around here, not necessarily close, but in the general area. Was it bigger than you? And raise your left paw if so.
No lift.
It was smaller. Interesting. Was there more than one? I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay, there was. Right, so attacked by multiple things. Smaller than the wolf.
Let's get if it stood on 2 legs.
Oh, yes. Was it on 2 legs? If so, raise your left paw.
2 legs is left paw?
Yeah.
No left paw.
4 legs? If so, raise your left paw.
Left paw.
Were they also wolves? If so, raise your left paw.
Left paw.
Okay, so they were smaller wolves.
Do we know if it was actually smaller? It could be the same size.
Oh, good. Good idea. Were the creatures the same size as you? If so, raise the left paw.
Left paw.
Okay, so it was the same size. Interesting. So you're attacked by your own kind?
Left paw.
Well, I think it gets the deal now.
Let's get if it was attacked by its own pack.
Was it your own pack that attacked you?
Nothing.
I don't believe so. Are you okay sticking with us for a little bit while you heal up?
Left paw. And a tail wag.
I'll take that as a yes.
He kind of... You deduce over time this is a male. You can see that he kind of comes up to you, kind of puts his hand... Not his hand. His head kind of down on your foot.
Is this me he's doing this to?
Yeah.
I think someone likes you.
All right. Hey, I want to try to talk to this wolf in the universal language of alcohol. I take my flask and I
Do not-
jokingly gesture to the wolf if he
Amadeus,
wants
do
a
not-
sip.
No. Amadeus, do
Okay,
not.
go
lift this thing
go
up.
ahead and make an animal handling check with disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
I will
How
be
do-
insistently trying to stop Amadeus.
All right. Well, how do I put disadvantage?
Just
you'll
roll
right-
another one.
Yeah.
In future,
Oh,
just
alright.
right-click on the thingy, and you can choose advantage or
Gotcha.
disadvantage.
All right, with an 11, you go ahead and you start to joke around, and immediately it turns at you and starts growling, like
Oh my god.
immensely, like more so than when Volstagg first approached you. Or
Oh,
approached
Easy
you.
boy. Easy boy. Easy boy.
I guess Sakado didn't need to stop me. I get it. All right. You know, never really liked dogs anyway. Whatever. It's fine.
Yes, don't you dare try and feed this thing alcohol, Amadeus.
I'm sorry. It's how I cope, and he's been through some trauma. So,
Yes, well, I'm not too smart on alcohol, but I do believe that wolves do not partake in alcohol.
at least this one doesn't.
Yes, at least this one doesn't. My word.
All right, well, you have a new buddy for the night. If you guys want to go ahead and start taking watch, the wolf seems to stick kind of on Sakado's hip. I mean, not actually, but you know what I mean, like closer to Sakado than definitely away from Amadeus, and will acknowledge Volstagg to the point where he realizes that he's the reason for his wounds being sealed.
Wait a minute. Volstagg, I've just had an idea. What if you wild shaped into a wolf?
You know I can talk with animals, right?
Is this with or without wild shaping?
Without. I know a ritual. It'll take me a while to prepare it, but in the morning I can commune with this creature.
And you didn't think to mention this earlier?
You were having fun.
Fair enough. I think we should slowly break to it that you can, change, because I believe that would be quite shocking for it.
Yeah. Well, I'll converse with it in the morning when I have a
Good
chance to
idea.
prepare the spell.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right, so who's going to go ahead and take some watch?
I'm feeling good. I think I might go first. You know, like it hasn't completely kicked in yet, the whiskey, and I know by the time it does, I will not be able to watch. So I think now's a better time than any.
All right, I love that. All right, go ahead and roll a perception check.
All right. All right, 16.
It's pretty good. It's kind of hard to keep a watch out here with... You feel safe to the point where you have a lot of cover in case somebody wants to try to sneak up on you. It's just a little difficult to actually, like, peer out further than a couple of feet. But you kind of keep a nice ear out. You don't hear anything. You do notice that the wolf the entire night stares you down.
Oh, okay, bruh. Jeez.
But eventually the wolf falls asleep.
All right.
And it's just you sitting out there in nature, kind of peering at these folks that you've only recently met, yet you feel like you can trust them. They're powerful people, strong people. You get a good vibe from them.
That I do.
You like the feeling of this. And you haven't liked a feeling in a long time.
It's nice.
Yeah, it is. And eventually, you realize you're dozing off a little bit, starting to feel the alcohol hit your belly. It's time for you to head to bed.
Yep.
Alrighty, who was next?
I'd like to go last, if that's cool.
Okay.
Well, that means Amadeus will have to approach me.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
This will be entertaining.
Yeah. Can I use fly again? I think.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Uh, I'll use fly. I like to think I'm at least like 5 or 10 feet above. Hey Sakudo, I think you can tell why I'm up here. It's your turn, buddy. And I, shifty-eyed, kind of look at the wolf. Mostly try to ignore it's there. To little avail.
I see Quellen's intimidating you.
Oh, you named it.
Well, I feel like it might be here for a little bit longer than we originally anticipated. It might know the local area a bit better than we do, so no harm in keeping it for the moment. Seems to have an
No
attachment
harm
to me.
for you guys, perhaps.
Yes, well, don't try and feed it alcohol, and I believe it should be just fine.
All right.
All right.
Okay, I'll just get up, ready for the watch.
All right. Go ahead and make a perception check.
Perception. That'll be a 21, my best roll of the day.
With the assistance of your newfound friend, Quellen, you keep a very watchful eye out. You can hear the sounds of tiny animals kind of skittering throughout. You can hear the wind blowing through the forest leaves, and while it's difficult to kind of keep an eye on the area, you can kind of focus more on your ears and listening rather than seeing. Kind of close your eyes and really focus. And eventually, you kind of look down and you can see that this wolf is kind of laying his head. He's not like cuddling up on you. He doesn't trust you that much, but trusts you enough to kind of sleep near you and kind of occasionally will look up, make sure everything's okay, then go back to sleep.
I'll just start murmuring to him. Hey, you wanna know where your name comes from?
Are you whispering or are you psychic whispering?
No, I'm just speaking normally.
Okay. You kind of see an ear perk up.
Yes, Quellen. It is, a name I hold dear to myself. It's got me in quite a bit of trouble, this name, but, that's kind of my own fault. It's, the name of my father. Quite possibly the bravest man I knew. Strong. Very, very popular. Very... the life of the party, they would say. And, yeah. It's, not something I really talk about often. But, something about you just reminds me of him. I don't know if that's because lately he's been popping up in conversation more, or the events surrounding, but, yeah, we're getting close to 10 years of him being gone. God, I hope that Amadeus can bring back the dead at one point. At least speak to him one more time, say goodbye. I never got to do that. It's something I regret more than anything else. Never being able to say goodbye to him. Anyway, that's enough of the dreary stuff. It's a lot more lively now, with the new friends. You know how it is. Well, you've only been here for a few hours now, but it's nice to have a companion like you. Yeah. And I'll just slowly trail off back into the watch.
All right. And eventually, you begin to feel yourself get tired, and you say to yourself, all right, it's time to go to bed.
And I'll just nudge Volstagg awake. It's your turn for the watch. Don't worry, Quellen has not mauled Amadeus just yet.
Kind of looking forward to that fight.
Oh, I have all my bets on Colin.
I'll stand up and begin kind of getting myself ready to perform the ritual to talk to the wolf.
All right. Are you ritual casting? Is that what you're doing?
So yeah, it's a ritual. Speak with animals.
Okay.
It doesn't take any. I'm trying to think. V is
So a
what does V
ritual, if
stand
you
for?
cast it as a ritual, it won't take a spell slot, but it'll take an hour.
Uh, casting time, 1 action.
Yeah. So it'll take an hour because
Okay.
you're ritual casting it.
Okay,
So go
cool.
ahead and well, we'll say that you cast it, and then I'll have you make a perception check because you
Okay.
can't really focus while doing a ritual. You kind of
Right.
put your bear totem on the floor and begin to kind of draw runes in the dirt around it, and then eventually it glows, and then you put the amulet back, or not the amulet, the emblem back on. So go ahead, make a perception check.
They roll here. 13.
All right, not bad. You're keeping a nice eye out and an ear out, and you don't hear anything so far as you have completed the ritual.
Okay. Now I look to the wolf. How do you say its name?
Let me just put the thingy. It'll be a lot easier to understand. Nope, that is not the thing. Where is it? There it is.
Quillen?
There we go. That's like the basic pronunciation.
Sorry, I look towards Quillen and come here, boy.
You can see the ears perk up and kind of stands up very in a protective manner, slowly begins to walk, sniffing around. Food?
I pull out a ration, hand it to it.
Kind of nods his head at you. Begins to slowly eat while keeping an eye on you.
Yeah, we do need to get some meat on those bones of yours.
Hungry. Tired.
Sleep, Pooch. You can curl up next to Sakado or hop in the back of the cart and rest. We won't harm you.
Family. Gone.
Did another pack of wolves hurt you?
Yeah. Very bad.
That gash was quite something. Did my healing word like completely heal it, or is this thing still kind of injured?
The wounds themselves healed,
Okay,
whilst any malnutrition or dehydration, not so much.
okay. Dehydration. I'll go ahead and pull out my water skin and kind of dump some water into the palms of my hands, hold them out.
He begins to drink very rapidly. And after he's done, he says, "Thankful."
I have more water if you need it.
Kind of nods his head.
Pour some more into my hands. And
Begins to drink it up. You could tell there's already some life sparked back into this animal. And then looks up at you, looks at the rest, kind of does the puppy head tilt and says, "Friendly."
yes, we won't hurt you, and we'll protect you as long as you're with us.
Kind of tilts the head, begins to lay down. Why?
because that's what we do. We're not out here to destroy.
Thankful. Kind of begins to rest his eyes.
Sleep now, little wolf.
And you go ahead and you watch as he begins to drift off. This is a medium-sized wolf. With your study of animals and just being outside a lot, you can tell this wolf is no older than maybe 3 years old.
Okay.
Definitely an adult, but on
Young
the
adult.
smaller side. Not a runt by any
Okay.
means, but definitely on the smaller side for a wolf. Kind of this almost this dark gray, kind of a brownish color, kind of with like these little hints of like a brown gray, or I'm sorry, a red brown, kind of mixed in there as well. Kind of bear-like in a sense, but definitely has some gray mixed in. Kind of a unique fox. Not fox, what the fuck? Kind of a unique wolf. I don't know where fox came from. But yeah, eventually the sun does begin to rise, and the three of you begin to wake, and you can continue on your journeys further and further. So, with this final day, somebody go ahead. You know what? No, Volstagg. As this is your home, and you're getting closer and closer, go ahead and roll me a d6.
All right. 4.
You, after just a couple of hours, begin to immediately understand where you are. You begin to start traveling the path you used to travel with Hogun whenever you needed to make your way into the cities, and rapidly begin to remember every turn, every rock, pebble, leaf, tree, and eventually, as the day comes, the sun high in the sky, you see it. You see this currently ramshackle home. Looks like it has seen better days. This small wooden shack. You can see this small chimney-like feature made of stone. You can see this small fire pit next to an outside table. You can see a small area on the side for tanning, for hanging butchered meats, and what looks to be an unfinished stable. You can see your home, looking a bit worse for wear as it hasn't been kept up in quite some time.
I look back to the others. We're here.
Well, I'm glad it's still standing.
I'm a little surprised, to be honest. It was barely standing when I left.
Must be sturdier than it looks.
Yeah. Hogan, pretty crafty. I'll go ahead and kind of pull over to the half-finished stable, tie the horses up.
All right. You can see that there's currently, right next to where it's kind of unfinished, you see a pile of wood and a hammer. Just
Kind of pick the hammer up and do one of those like flip tosses a couple times. Go ahead and put it in my bag
all right.
just for future purposes.
All right. As you go to the back and kind of look around, you can see that it's the same as you left it. You can see your guys' rainwater bin, where you would collect drinking water and water you would use to bathe. You can see the creative shower-like device that Hogun had invented. And you can see the sharpening stone, the whetstone, that Hogun used to use to sharpen his blade. Your blade.
I motion Sakato to come over to the sharpening stone.
Yes, what is it?
It's a whetstone. This is where Hogan would sharpen my scimitar. Well, his scimitar back then. It's where he taught me how to sharpen knives.
Huh?
We'd sit here for hours as he'd sharpen his blade, and he'd tell me stories of the history of the world, about creatures that I one day might find or have already found. But it's still in good condition if you need to sharpen any blades.
Well, I'm not currently looking to sharpen any blades. I think well, unless I can somehow sharpen these weird daggers. I don't believe I can, though. I feel like I'll just stick with these for now, but thank you for the offer.
No problem. Also, around back there's a cabin around back of the cabin there's a shower head that hooks up to a rainwater bin if you want to give your new doggy there a bit of a bath. He does smell a bit.
Yes, that does seem like a good idea, and I'll just whistle him over.
His head kind of perks up, and he kind of, not at a run, but at a steady pace, kind of comes over to you.
And I'll just lead him off to the shower
Alrighty.
thing.
Amadeus, what are you doing?
Just admiring the area. Thinking to myself, damn, it'd be nice to grow up in a place like this. A place you can consistently call home, rather than going from street to street, you know? Not having a good idea of where you're gonna sleep. Just admiring it while thinking about my own past.
Volstagg, you see him kind of looking around, admiring your home.
Anything that interests you, Amadeus?
All I'm seeing is a hell of a place to grow up, man.
Yeah. The roof leaked. It got really cold at night, especially in the winters, even if the fire was going. And we had to fight a lot of scary things sometimes. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
I nod in approval. I have a lot of respect for Volstagg. Sakato as well.
These are good people. And Volstagg, as you're talking, you remember, it kind of just catches your mind. You remember Hogun's cellar. Kind of forgot about it, almost.
There's a... Okay, I walk over, kind of brush some of the fallen leaves and sticks off, and open up the cellar doors.
You open up the doors, and immediately you can hear the scuttering of some mice that had been calling that place home for gods know how long. You make your way down there, you turn on the lantern. You can see it's pretty much exactly how he left it. How you left it. It's got some of his old adventuring gear. Has some old books of his that he used to keep. And you could see that on the desk is... You didn't really come down here after he passed. You just couldn't bring yourself to do it. And on the desk, you now realize there is this... For lack of better comparison for size, almost the size of like a cutting board. This painting. And it's a painting of a dwarven man with gray hair, this long white beard, brown eyes, large belly, yet muscular and fit, and this half-orc gentleman. You presume maybe 6 or 7 years old, yet the same height as him. You could see yourselves sitting in front of a cabin in these chairs, and the two of you have these big smiles on your faces. And you remember this moment. Hogan had hired an artist to do a portrait for you. And you had to sit down for 6 long and gruesome, boring hours. Perfectly still. And just as he was finishing up doing your guys' facial expressions, you just remember Hogan letting out this gnarly burp. And the two of you just laughing. And the artist captured that moment. You've never seen this photo before. You've never seen this painting before. And you could see that it is kind of sprawled out. And you turn it on the back, it says, "For my son."
Smile. As a small tear kind of rolls down my face. Is the type of painting I can roll up?
Yeah, and it actually has you could see that at the bottom, kind of on the floor, leaning up against his desk, is like a case, almost like a map case.
Okay. I'll go ahead and roll it, put it in the case, and throw the case over my shoulder. Just kind of take a moment down there. Myself.
It's emotional. And if it weren't fond memories, it would hurt very bad. And you realize that you haven't been able to clean his gravestone. You haven't been able to clean your mother's gravestone. But as you begin to walk out, you can see that there is a box, this wooden crate almost, and you don't remember it. You've been down here before, and you remember the crates that used to hold his adventuring gear, but this is a different crate, made from a much older wood than some of the other boxes in here. And you kind of take it and open it up. And inside of it, you immediately are struck with an unfamiliar emotion. May it be grief or sorrow or sadness. But as you open it up, you can see this... How do I call it? Or what do I even call it? Not a poncho, but a... damn, I don't even know the word. A shawl. There you go. A shawl. And it is made of this blue, beautiful pattern. It's got these blues and these whites and these grays. And you kind of pull it up. And as you pull it out of the box, you see... Well, you hear the sound of something metal hit the ground and kind of clank on the ground. But you're too busy looking at this shawl. And you don't know why. But you flip it inside out. And you can see that it has written in it the initials YW. And you don't understand why you are drawn so closely to this. But you look into the box and you can see that it says Shawl of Volstag's mother. You can see there's a hole in it, or a little bit of blood. Seems to kind of very dried black blood. You look down on the ground, and you see this golden crossbow bolt with blood still on the tip.
Reach down. I grab that crossbow bolt. And I kind of grip it in my hand tightly. I've got this, like, a look of, like, despair and also a little bit of anger.
Mm-hmm. And Amadeus, you kind of watched him walk off, and you kind of see that the cellar doors are open and start making your way down, and you can see Volstagg gripping this bolt with this strong emotion on his face.
Oh. Little tentative. I don't know if I really want to say anything, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I think I'll make it known that I'm there.
Okay. And Volstagg, you hold the shawl in your hand. You hold the bolt in the other. And then you kind of pick up that piece of paper. And on the back it says, and you can tell immediately it's Hogun's writing. But it says, I'll never know how to tell him this. But one day I will. You never knew what happened to your mother. You just know that she died right after giving birth. Chalked it down to genuine childbirth complications. And with your mind, your very sharp mind, being as observant as you are, you now understand that that may not have been the case. And that somebody else did something.
I look up at Amadeus now with this almost puzzling realization on my face. I think this is the bolt that killed my mother.
I'm in stunned silence. I don't think I know how to respond to something like this. Usually in scenarios like this, I offer a drink, but for once in my life, I know it's not the time. I look at Volstagg, and I think I have one thing to say, and simply, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just shocked. Is there any, like, marking or engraving on this bolt that would tell me any sort of information?
So, kind of holding it in your hand, it is a standard crossbow bolt. Well, standard in the sense of it's visually a crossbow bolt, but it is gold. Whether made of solid gold or just coated on the outside, you can't tell. But on the tip, it has blood that goes in about 3 inches, dried and black, and kind of wrapped around the base are these runic inscriptions. Just by looking at it, you can tell that this was an enchanted or modified arrow or bolt. I'm sorry.
Would I know what those runes say?
Make an Arcana check.
18.
You know that arcane runes are very different than druidic runes. Druidic runes do equate to a language. But in the terms of Arcana, it's not necessarily a language and more of patterns that lead to different forms of magics. And you could tell that this was, but just by the structure of it and the details within, it seems to be that of evocation, which would imply the damage magics, which tracks due to most enhanced weaponry is along the lines of evocation.
I slide the bolt into a pouch on my armor and grip the shawl and kind of fold it up and walk out of the cellar.
All right. You walk out. Sakato, it's at this point you and Quellen begin to make your way, kind of looking for the two of them. You don't really know where they went, and you see Volstagg come up from a cellar.
Oh, hey, Volstagg.
Kind of
Okay,
see this
that's
stern, sad look across my face.
new. What happened?
Show him the shawl. I believe this belonged to my mother.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice.
Show him the blood stain.
Oh,
I reach into my pouch and pull out the bolt and kind of hand it to him.
oh, um, um,
I believe that's the bolt that killed my mother.
yeah, there's not much that can be said about that, I guess. It certainly adds up. I, this, first of all, are you okay?
I'm shocked. This is new information. I've always known my mother was dead, and I knew it was at my birth, but I didn't realize she had been injured prior to my birth. I'm more curious to know where this bolt came from. I
With
want
my
to know why
time,
my mother was shot.
with my time in like a military-esque thing, would I know what exactly, like, where that bolt, like, which weapon it would have come from? Like a big crossbow, small crossbow, hand crossbow?
Due to the size, almost immediately you can recognize that this would have came from a standard crossbow. Definitely not a hand crossbow. It's too big. But it doesn't seem big enough to be a heavy crossbow. You chalk it down to being a light crossbow.
Okay. Well, I know this might sound grim, but it's at least a start to figure out what happened with your mother.
Do you recognize that bolt of anything? I mean, that gold plating can't just be standard issue.
Yes, it is very odd to have a crossbow bolt be fully gold. Would I know of any particular town or like place where they would use gold-plated crossbows or enchanted crossbow bolts?
Go ahead and make... Ooh, okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see how I can incorporate your militaristic background. I would say you could definitely do history. That would work. You could also do... I would also let you do Arcana.
Well, it don't really matter which one I pick, so history. Natural 20.
With a natural 20, you agree that this is not a standard issue item. And you try to call back to your days in the military. You know that it definitely didn't come from your village, as the weapon of choice was arrows or lighter weaponry, crossbows. not really your guys' style. They're too heavy. You like light. You like movement. And some of the people you've fought throughout your time have never displayed something quite like this. You've encountered enchanted arrows and bows and bolts and weaponry. But the gold plating, that you just cannot place.
Well, this will be very difficult to track down. The most important thing is definitely the gold plating. That is incredibly unique. I've never seen anything quite like it. Would I know that it's like arcane symbols?
You would know. You've come in contact with a couple enchanted bows and bolts and arrows and stuff like that in your day. You do recognize arcane runes when you look at the bolt.
Well, I won't be able to offer much help with the enchanted side of it. For that, we can definitely ask Willigin for some assistance with that. I'm sure he would be more than happy to help with this.
I'd also like to have Thybert take a look at it, knowing him and his metalsmithing. He may know of maybe a metalsmith that creates this specific type of bolt, or
Yes,
at least rumors of where it would come from.
that would be a good idea as well. But hey, Volstagg, and I just place my hand on the shoulder. It's a start at the very least. It may be grim, maybe a shock, but at least you'll finally understand what happened.
I'm gonna place my hand like on top of his and go, "Thank you. It is a start."
Yes.
And as you guys begin to talk, and eventually you see that a storm is starting to roll in, and that traveling may not be the best idea, at least for right now.
Well, there's a storm coming. Might as well bunker down here for the night. The stable should hold up just fine for the horses, and should still have a few beds in the house. I can sleep on my bedroll, and you guys can take the beds. And of course, Quellen is allowed in as well.
You can see him
Just
kind
ruffle
of,
him.
he's kind of wagging his tail a little bit. All right.
Yes, sounds like a good idea.
You open the door and you can see the interior. Just as you left it, very dusty, but nothing has changed. You can see the 2 beds on the left side, made out of animal skins and animal furs. You can see on the right side there's a wooden table and 2 wooden chairs, one of which is a rocking chair. And you can immediately just picture Hogan sitting inside of it. You can almost hear the rocking and the creaking. The creaking he refused to fix, no matter how many countless times you asked him. He just liked it that way. And you know that if he liked something, it was going to stay that way. He was pretty stubborn. You can see that there's some cupboards that line up and adorn the walls, and a water basin to clean any dishes. Even though you presume there's no more food in here.
I'll walk over to the fire pit and start getting one going.
Alrighty, relatively easy. Just lights up. You kind of make your way towards the cabinets, and you open up a cabinet, one that you rarely ever opened, but since you're back, you kind of opened it, and you can see that there's this leather-bound book with papers kind of just like ramshackled in there. not like super bound to anything, like kind of loose. And you open it up and you can see that it is a collection of many years worth of recipes. Hogan loved to cook, he loved to eat. He was great at it, both eating and cooking. And you could see that in this book, he collected a collection of all his recipes, highlighted some of his favorites.
This may come in handy. I'll kind of put that in the bag. Because, I mean, all we have are rations right now, right? We don't really have any food.
Yeah.
So, I'll just kind of go sit in the rocking chair for a bit.
All right. And eventually, as the night winds down, the three of you begin to feel slumber into your minds, and knowing that you could safely sleep here without having to keep watch, you all eventually, piece by piece, bed down unless there's something else you wish to do.
Oh.
Nope, Sakura just doze off. Well, not doze off, but do his thing.
Yeah, I
Kinda-
dozed off.
All right.
A little once over, make sure the fire's not burning too hot. Make sure the door is bolted. Kind of make sure like the shutters are closed on the windows. Just make sure the place is going to be secure for us for the night.
And you do. And it's all... It's human nature to you. You just immediately kick back into the swing of things. You're moving with purpose. And eventually you sit down and begin to just reminisce.
We just stay seated in the rocking chair and kind of kick back in it and prop my feet up on the other chair and probably just doze off in the chair for the evening.
And as sleep begins to grasp all of you, that's where we're going to end this episode. That was a longer one, but it was a good one nonetheless. So thank you guys so much for being here as always. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and check everybody out in the descriptions. Show that support. But yeah, that's going to do it from us, you guys. We love you guys. We hope you guys are staying safe. Enjoy your squirt sticks, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.